Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks. And if you remember way back in the beginning of this year, I know it was a long time ago, I had a couple of goals for 2020. One of my goals had to do with collecting every LEGO video game ever released, and if possible, every edition, port, what have you. Now, that's a very ambitious goal right off the bat after 25 years of LEGO video games and different editions and re-releases over that time. So I tried to cut things back early on by saying I'm not going to include any that are on the PC or Mac, any of those editions. That's already a snowball effect on its own. I would just kind of focus on the home console versions of video games and maybe once in a while dabble into the handhelds. I did want to pull back on the handheld ones, but I did wind up picking some over time, especially for the Nintendo DS and 3DS. I figured there were a whole bunch there, might as well grab them while I knew they were there. So it's not something that I was focusing on throughout the year. I was mostly working through the home console stuff. So right now I have a whole bunch of them, especially the CD ones right now that I've been going through on a website called pricecharting.com. This is an easy way for me to keep track of my collection and what is still out there. They don't have every edition listed, but I'm okay with that. I know that earlier in the year I talked about different editions of games, and you can click up in the card on the top to see my January update about them, or link down in the description below. But I'm going to kind of narrow it down for this list and go off of what was listed on Price Charting's website, so that way it's a little bit easier to track everything. I'm sure there's going to be other variants that we'll talk about sometime later in the future. I would love to make some LEGO trivia videos about them, even the PC games. I would love to make some variants about those. So be sure to subscribe and you'll get to see some more LEGO trivia videos based on LEGO video games. For now, let's get right to it. This is going to be a little bit hard to track. You see, a lot of times with video games, not only on databases, but also in video game stores, LEGO games kind of have this odd gray area of categorization. Some games are not specifically said LEGO blank. They may have another title and then LEGO logo is somewhere on the screen, but not, up in front like everything else is. So a common one with that is Bionicle. Yes, LEGO made Bionicle, but a lot of times a video game is titled as just Bionicle whatever. So they get categorized separately from a lot of LEGO games. And such thing is going to appear throughout the video here. I mean, look at the case right there. It says Bionicle Heroes, but you see the LEGO logo is on it. I kind of wish that they would restructure that for a lot of these because, honestly, they are still LEGO games. It just has a different style to it. I mean, here's some that don't make sense to me. Island Extreme Stunts. It's all in LEGO. It has your traditional LEGO minifigures and buildings, etc. So how can you put them separately? Or Soccer Mania. Once again, you even see the minifigure on the cover right there. So the weird thing about those and other examples is that in the mid-2000s, some LEGO box arts for video games would have the LEGO logo kind of wedged down in the corner, like it's not a part of it, and then just having the main title, like they didn't want to put the word LEGO in there. I have no idea. I don't know if it would make it sell better or anything, but now looking at it on price charting, it just looks like it's its own thing, not even a LEGO game. But I'm going through them now. I just went through Drum Racers, so I'm going to find as many as I can and track them throughout the video as well. Okay, I'm going to do this as best as I can because it's not an easy thing with the site, but I've tried a whole bunch of methods to see how we can go through the collection itself. So when I searched for the word LEGO on the site, it showed up 329 games. That's not exactly the number. As I mentioned before about Bionicle, Island Extreme Stunts, and Drone Racers, and a couple other examples, some things are not classified as a LEGO game. The LEGO is not part of the title. And the other weird thing is that Legion, for some reason, kept showing up in these search results with the word LEGO. I don't know how, because there's a letter in between, but I'm going to skim through it as best as I can. We're going to do this by console, and we're only working from the NTSC region of games. Those are the ones released in the Americas, as opposed to released in Europe or Japan. That is, how things are arranged between regions. It just makes it a lot easier for me since I already live in America. Might as well go with the ones I can actually get domestically. No, that is not the book. go to that one. So starting off in this list in alphabetical order of consoles, we're going to go to the GameCube. Now, the GameCube didn't have a lot of LEGO video games, and I believe I mentioned it in my previous video. I have all 4 of them, including the Player's Choice editions of the LEGO Star Wars games. From what I can tell so far, there aren't really a lot of changes between them, but I'll cover more about that in its own video. I am still happy to have them, and as far as the discs themselves, they look exactly the same as the original counterparts. The biggest difference you're going to see is with the cases, where it'll actually have the banner on top that says Player's Choice and along the side of the spine. Now, this site decided to put LEGO Dimensions as a console. I mean, I think they still do break it up into each of the actual home consoles, but there's so many different products that are released for LEGO Dimensions that they just kind of wanted to group them all together. So in this list, we see that I have just about everything. Yeah, not even joking. This also includes each of the CDs of the games. I do have a toy pad that can play with all of the systems. And I say that because the one that's manufactured for the PS3 is the same as the Wii U and the same as the PS4. The one that's manufactured for the Xbox 360 is the same that's used for the Xbox One. Those are not compatible with each other that often, with the Xbox One going to the PS3, for example. The different USBs inputting into them, but it's fine. I think it still works. And I have all the game pieces I can use in just about any one of those. It'll still read perfectly fine. Now, there are only a couple in here that I don't have. And even last year, I tried looking out for them for a little bit, but unfortunately did not find them, or I was not really happy with the prices that I saw. Teen Titans Go Teen Pack is, at least according to the site now, it says it's running for about $36 loose. I've seen this in box maybe 40 or 50 at Brick Fair, Virginia last year, and I wasn't really willing to put up with that price. I think at that point I only bought a Beetlejuice pack or something else from there. But there was also the Goonies. That's the other one that I need to collect. Literally the only 2 packs I have left in order to complete the LEGO Dimensions collection. And this one runs for a little bit lower. It's about $23 to $26. That's not too bad, and I wouldn't be against getting either of these loose as long as it was complete. And it doesn't matter about the box or anything. The boxes are disposable, but I am still going to look out for those as best as I can. Any other times this year that I was looking for them, Teen Titans Go, it would have individual pieces or minifigs sell on, exorbitant prices, and usually by like 1 or 2 people, and they would go pretty quickly. So there wasn't really a chance for that this year from what I was looking at. And before you ask, yes, I do have the polybags like the Supergirl and Green Arrow that were released in some of the starter packs. So now we move things over to Nintendo 64. Just as before, there's only one of one game that's released with the system in North America, LEGO Racers. So enough said there. So on the Nintendo Switch, it says right now there are only 14 games available, give or take. And it does also mention some other games that have the word Legion in them, so it's about 12. Okay, this isn't a bad list. And I actually find some editions in here kind of interesting. Like there's a toy bundle edition of this LEGO City Undercover, which apparently includes a small poly bag, which I do have the poly bag. I don't have the game. I don't really count that. I think those are 2 separate things. But it is entertaining to see that it is in there. That's a version I have not known about for its release. Most of these that I do have, I only have 3 of them. I only have 1 of them as a physical cartridge, and then 2 of them I've downloaded digitally. I've looked on the Nintendo eShop, and every once in a while they'll put some good deals on for certain games. That kind of convinces me of buying the digital copy over the physical. And the Nintendo Switch is one of those early adopters of going into digital games over the physical ones for me. It's still kind of a new concept, and it's something that I keep playing back and forth with. I mean, if it's a digital only release, I totally understand that. I wouldn't mind that as long as it can stay on the system and not be a problem running it or whatever. But there are some of these where I think, well, I don't mind putting the game in and out of the system. Getting a physical one, and sometimes the physicals are cheaper than the digital copies. So I picked up a few like that, like DC Super Villains or Lego Movie 2 video game. And there are a couple add-ons that go along with each of those. That's a whole nother can of worms. With like all the season pass and character packs and all that stuff. Lego Movie 2 and I think Lego Worlds luckily have some additions to their games that became free over time. Like originally were like $5 or so, and then they just had free downloads for them, so it made it a lot easier. I figure I'll get onto that sometime later. But yeah, still a whole bunch in here I would have to go through, but I probably have some of these on other consoles if I wanted to play them right now. So now we bring things over to the PlayStation. And as mentioned before, I have all 3 games released in North America for the system. Now, I was able to find out recently that there are some other versions of PlayStation games for Lego, but they're from other territories. If I open the all list, just out of curiosity, okay, it doesn't even show them in here. So this site may need a little bit of updating. I think it's one of the My Style games. It's either preschool or kindergarten. I forget which one it is, but it's a Duplo-based Lego video game that was released in Japan for the PlayStation, which looks really cool. I'm actually intrigued by that because I don't even think I have a PC version or at least an English PC version. And that one also isn't an English PC version. But it's a cool idea nonetheless that they brought it over instead of just leaving it on the computer. So now we look at PlayStation 2, where it says that there's 11. There's actually some Legions in here once again, so it's about 9 or so different games. Most of these I have, and some of these I am a little not sure about. I'm not sure if I have the Indiana Jones Greatest Hits Edition or Lego Batman Greatest Hits Edition. From the CDs I looked over, I couldn't find those, but it's possible they could be located elsewhere, and I just didn't account for them. But I'm glad I have most of the library in here, and that's okay with having the greatest hits on Star Wars and Star Wars 2. Sometime later, I'm going to have to go through all these different editions of the games and figure out if there's any differences, like graphically, or how they run, or if there's any bonus material with them. 9 times out of 10, it's probably just going to be a re-release, but I'm still curious either way. The PlayStation 3. Now, this is one I actually dived into this year, getting a PlayStation 3 around March or so, and then getting a couple of games for it. I think right now it only has Lego video games. I don't remember if I bought anything else for it, but I'm sure I can look into other options sometime later. I know there are other good PlayStation 3 games out there, and I'm just kind of focusing on the Lego ones at the moment. So there's actually a whole lot of them I haven't gone through at this moment. So no problem with that, especially when it was just an early thing that I've adopted now. And with everything going on this year, I didn't get a lot of opportunities to see other ones, but I know they're still out there and they're probably not that hard to find. I think there was, when I got the PS3, I tried to get it in a bundle and I tried to get a bunch of games with that bundle. Like it would allow, like they allowed me at GameStop to pick out a bunch of games, and I tried to get a bunch of them as Lego video games. Wait, did I even count this list? Oh, shoot. Where are the PS3? I gotta come back for this. I gotta be better. What? How do I do this video and not realize what I had in here? That means a whole lot more editing. Yay! Lego video games. Lego video games collection. PlayStation 2, 3. All right, for the PlayStation 3, this one is fairly new for me. I picked up a PlayStation 3 console in about March of 2020. I got a couple of games bundled with it, and I actually have to go through this one now because I could not remember which ones were Lego oriented, but now I have a list here to go through it. So just give me a moment. Let's see. We have Lego Batman, the video game. That's the DVD copy, so that's Silver Shield on this list. We have Lego Batman 2, which I think is says it's the greatest hits, but it only shows one in here, so I'm just going to mark it as such. Yeah, that's going to happen with a couple of these entries. We have the Lego Movie video game, so that's further down in the list. Lego Batman 3, Beyond Gotham, we do have that. Let's see. I have Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars. That's further down the list. No different editions in there. And that's all that I have right now. I have seen some of these other ones in stores, or at least they're not that hard to find. I know that Lego Dimensions is still, some reason, of all places, Big Lots still has them available. So that shouldn't be a hard one for me to pick up. It's just I have to go back specifically there to find it, as opposed to other stores that might carry a whole bunch of these. But yeah, this collector's edition of Harry Potter. Ooh, that's gonna be a little tricky. That's tricky on the Xbox 360 already, but yeah, I'll keep that in mind. I don't remember if there's any others in here, but if there is, I'm sure I'll update this sometime later. Right now, we're looking at about 5 different video games for the Lego from the PS3. On the PlayStation 4, we're looking at, what is it, 1, 2, 3, so 25 different video games for Lego. Oh, wait, even less than that. It's like 22. Again, this whole Legion thing, I don't know why it brings that up, but it's in there. So these weren't too bad to get. This actually happens with me when trying to collect for the newer consoles. It takes me a while to actually get to them because they're still new games. They're still pretty expensive, you know? So I kind of wait a while for those to go down in price or to find a good deal for those before getting them. Some of the listings that they have and prices on here is kind of across the board, but it also depends on what store I go to and how they're priced on there, which I'm sure I'll figure out sometime later. So they have different editions of these. The toy bundle, once again, I believe I can put, yeah, I did put Lego Ninjago Movie in here. And I do have that not only as a physical, but also digital copy, because there was some time in the middle of the year that they had Lego Ninjago Movie for free as a download for just about any console except 1 or 2 of them, and for a limited time. So I was like, yeah, why not? I'll just download this one. I have space in the system in order to use it. So it's available there. It was a good opportunity to get it on a couple other consoles I didn't already have it for. But yeah, most of these are fairly common. I think when I got Lego Worlds, that was during the period they still had the DLC that you had to purchase it. It was before it dropped it to free. So I spent like $10 on the classic pack and the monsters pack, only for it to come out later as a freebie. Go figure. I think I got the PS4 Lego games sometime last year, if I remember correctly. Yeah. A couple of these were from last year. The deluxe edition, I have the Steelbook because I got that for free at a GameStop, but I didn't get the game with it. I didn't get any of the bonuses that go with the deluxe edition, unfortunately. So I'm sure I'll find that one sometime later. No, why did it actually bring up something? There we go. It's like a Saturn. Ah, being a dunce. So now we bring our attention over to the Wii for the Lego games. And kind of makes sense. Wii is a very family-friendly console. It's got a lot of licensed games, whether or not shovelware. So it makes sense that they would have a bunch of Lego games on there. Now, as far as this one goes, I have a couple different editions of games. The Harry Potter, once again, Silver Edition, Collector's Edition. Takes a little bit more time to find those, no matter what console it's on. Lego Batman, the video game, Silver Edition. I believe I don't have that because I only had that for one of the other consoles only right now. Silver Shield basically means that it was released with a DVD or with another game. Some copies would have Lego Batman, the video game, and Batman, the 1989 movie released with it. But if you find that in game stores, they don't have the DVD. They just have the video game. So it is what it is. Unless there was a code with it, instead of releasing it as a physical DVD, it might have been a code with it. I'm not entirely sure, because that does happen on some editions of games and some releases of movies in general. They'll give you a digital code to watch it elsewhere, but that's fine. But yeah, for the most part, I got most of the games here for the Wii. I've enjoyed Lego Rock Band through there a lot. I remember playing the original Adventures of Indiana Jones on there, having fun with that. And it's been fun going back and forth to other copies of games like Lego Star Wars Complete Saga. So on the Wii U, we almost have the same library of Lego games. A bunch of things that crossed over. A couple of things here and there that are different editions. Like there's a Nintendo Selects edition of Undercover, which is probably going to be the same thing, but I am very curious about this. Lego City Undercover was originally a Wii U exclusive, and then they ported it over to the Xbox One, PS4, everything after that, the Nintendo Switch included. Now, when they had it as a exclusive for the Wii U, they added a whole bunch of Nintendo references in that game. I don't think those exist in the other copies of it, but I haven't played those yet in order to find out. I don't even own them as far as I can tell from this list. The only one I have is for the Wii U right now. So I'm very curious about that to see between them. Maybe I'll even look up some video if I can't find it any sooner, just to see if any of those were included in there or if others have found that already. Nintendo Selects is probably just the same thing. It's just like the Player's Choice edition that they had at that time for the Wii U and 3DS. Apparently, there's a Walmart edition of Marvel Superheroes. I don't know exactly what that means. I'm going to look it up. At the lovely 1:11 in the morning. Let's see. Lego Marvel Superheroes Wii U Walmart Edition. Was it like a pre-order edition? Oh, okay. So the Walmart edition of Marvel Superheroes, and this might apply across multiple consoles, not just on the Wii U, is that it included the Iron Patriot minifigure in a special box. I think I've seen that before at Toys R Us with It's either Marvel Superheroes or Marvel Avengers, and I forget which system it was for, but they did that with the Quinjet included with the game in a specific box. So those editions do pop up every once in a while. I don't think it's critical of me to get an Iron Patriot for every Walmart edition of Marvel Superheroes. If I get one as a poly bag, it'll cover for all of them, no problem. Getting the box with it would be kind of cool, though. So that was interesting to learn. And I'm not sure if I have the Hobbit. I thought I had it. I could be wrong. Wait, what? I didn't include it for what? Yeah, I have them. Now, just like I said in my previous video, I do have everything for the original Xbox when it comes to LEGO video games. LEGO Star Wars, LEGO Star Wars The Platinum Hits Edition, LEGO Star Wars Original Trilogy. I think the Platinum Hits here for LEGO Star Wars 2 I don't have, because I don't have it listed on the side. And the other one that I do have for the system would be... No, I don't want to add another copy. This really does not want to. Okay, for the Xbox, it says that I have 3 out of 4 LEGO games. Now, I'm going to have to go back through a lot of the list for the Bionicle games, for Stunt Rally. Now, according to Xbox, it says I have 3 out of the 4 LEGO video games. I'm going to have to go back through this list for things like Bionicle and Drum Racers, Island Extreme Stunts. For a lot of these consoles, there's another game or so, and as I mentioned in the beginning, it doesn't classify it the same way on the website and in most databases for video games. So the only one I don't have in here, as it says, is LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, Platinum Hits Edition. I don't think that one is incredibly rare. I think it just keeps evading me, but it's not a hard thing to find in general. It's just something that it would take a little bit more elbow grease, but shouldn't be a big deal to find it. The other one I have in here for the Xbox is Bionicle the game. Oh boy. Well, I already talked about it before, but Xbox 360 is a powerhouse of LEGO games. You thought the Wii would have a bunch? Well, the Xbox 360 throws that out the window and runs it over with a truck, because there are not only more games on it, but more editions of those games, and probably even more than this actually has listed. So I have checked. I have the Batman and Pure double pack, which is literally one side of the case has Lego Batman on it, all the requirements, etc. And you flip the game case over, it has Pure, which is a separate game, not Lego related as far as I can tell, and has all the requirements, etc. listed on there. And inside it's a double folder kind of thing to hold both games together. They did that with a couple of things here and there. I think further down this list, it says it did that with, yes, Indiana Jones, Kung Fu Panda. So that just happened to be a thing. Even though they weren't both Lego games, for some reason it happened. But yeah, I marked up this one a whole lot. A lot of different games to go in through here to try to classify them. Yeah, Harry Potter 1 through 4, kind of a rough one because of all these different editions that are out there. Some of the collector's editions, they have different things included with them. So this might not even be all of them. There's more than 4 of them as far as I know. It's messy. Very, very messy. Lord of the Rings Walmart edition, I'm assuming, is another one that includes a poly bag with it, just as we saw before with Marvel Superheroes. And surprisingly, Marvel Superheroes in here doesn't have a Walmart edition, but that doesn't mean it didn't exist. I didn't mark the Xbox One either. I thought it might still be in there. So as we go over to the Xbox One, there's still a whole lot of LEGO titles in here, and so far not too many different editions of them. I mean, a couple in here like the Deluxe Edition here, Toy Bundle once again, Deluxe Edition down there. That seems fairly standard. That's not a big deal. This one I actually forgot to mark before starting this video, so I'm going to mark it up here from my notes. We have LEGO Harry Potter Collection, which is good because they don't have a two-for version on the Xbox One. They don't mention about the premium edition for Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham in here, which I don't have either way, so it's not a big deal. And that's it. Well, actually, I also have marked on my list Forza Horizon 4 and Lego Speed Champions. It's technically not a Lego video game on its own. It's a Lego add-on to a non-Lego video game, Forza Horizon already being a running series, or should I say racing series of games on the Xbox. But I put it in my personal notes in here as something that I have, and I might have to mark that separately on this site to say, like, oh, I have Forza Horizon 4 and whatever add-on with it. Hopefully they have something for that. I don't remember if I picked up any other games in here for Lego. Probably just Lego Ninjago Movie. I'm not sure, but I'm going to have to look that up again. Because, yeah, I don't think I really went through the Xbox One that much this year as far as games in general, let alone Lego games. So now let's look up all the Bionicle games in the NTSC region. And this is as best as I can do for categorizing them. There are going to be some of the handhelds in here, of course, because I only just searched for the keyword of Bionicle. But there are some on the GameCube, PlayStation 2, the original Xbox. Oop, got to add that one. Let's see. I did mention GameCube again, Bionicle Heroes. People have said a lot of good things about the DS version of Bionicle Heroes for some reason, which I kind of find surprising because I've heard that first-person shooters on the DS is not often received well. So I don't know about that version. I'm curious. If it turns up, I'd be happy to try that out. Got the PlayStation 2 Bionicle Heroes. The Wii version, for some reason, keeps evading me. I think I find it, and then it's gone. Something like that. A couple of Game Boy Advance ones down here as well. So we got those, or for the most part. Bringing things over to Island Extreme Stunts, which is technically Lego Island 3. I have the two copies that they show in here. For some reason, they don't show the PC version. I think that happened with Bionicle as well. I have no idea why. But, yep, I got every version of Island Extreme Stunts. Up next, we have Soccer Mania, also known as Football Mania, but that's the European release, so we're just going to work on the Americas release. I do have it on at least the Game Boy Advance and PlayStation 2. I don't recall if I have the Game Boy version, and I know I have the PC version, but again, does not list it here. Now for Drum Racers, I've mentioned this in my Lost Lego Media video that there was going to be an Xbox release of it, but it turned out to be canceled. It's not necessarily lost media, it's just that the image floated around as like a tentative title, but did not actually release on that system. This one, I have the GameCube release of it. I don't have the PlayStation 2 release. I know I have the PC release, but that's for another day. And I think I have the Game Boy Advance release, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to have to look back and find out. But I thought I remembered finding that in a GameStop earlier this year. Maybe not GameStop, or something like a GameStop. My memory's a little fuzzy. 2020 has been a long year. As a quick addendum before we wrap things up, I want to acknowledge that yes, I do have Lego Drum Racers on the Game Boy Advance. I paid $9 for it apparently. And this is what a Silver Shield edition of a Lego video game would look like. It would have this large Warner Brothers shield around it. It would often include a DVD with the video game. And a lot of times it happened with the Lego Batman releases. This is for the Wii. That's one I forgot to add in before, but now I've added it onto my list. And literally it has a 2-disc function in here. So the first disc being for the video game, second disc for the movie. A lot of times if you find this at a video game store or GameStop, it won't include the Batman DVD movie with it. I don't know if that's something that they were allowed or they really cared for, but interesting nonetheless. So this is how it looks along the back, where it shows about some of the credits on the movie and also has it along the spine. Includes bonus Batman movie inside. Now, there is another can of worms that I could dive into. I only done a little bit with it so far, and that is the Lego strategy guides for the video games. These are some of the Prima official game guides. I don't know if Nintendo Power made any, but I'm not going to concern myself too much with these. This was kind of in tandem with picking up some of the other stuff. It was like, oh, well, these are there, might as well. And they're pretty cheap too. They were like $3 each, as opposed to the $20 that originally came out for. I got one for Indiana Jones, The Original Adventures, Lego Batman, the video game, Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, and the super beefy one for Lego Batman 2. That is more beef than some of the other strategy guides put together. Even though I have played some of these games before and already know them front and back, it might be helpful for some unlockables or if there's something in a particular copy of the game that I'm not aware of. I know I used to have a paper writing down a lot of the cheat codes for this game, so it is kind of nice having it in a published book form, going through everything, and sometimes there's nice artwork in there that isn't featured in the games. So, good to have a little bit more reading material. And there we have it. That's my December 2020 update of the LEGO video games I've collected for the home consoles, as best as I can using the price charting website. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that happened this year that kind of kept me from gaining my goal, and I'm perfectly fine with not accomplishing it this year. So, there's a quick thing here I wanted to run down as to why I didn't accomplish the goal, but why I'm okay with it. Number one, 2020. Yeah, that's kind of big. I didn't have as many opportunities in order to get out to the stores or the right finances in order to put it aside for specifically buying Lego video games. Luckily, I had a good boost of a period of Lego collecting around March of 2020, right before the shutdown happened, where I was able to get it for the DS and 3DS library, even though they didn't count. It was just a good opportunity for it, and for the PS3 library. But beyond that, there weren't really a lot of other good times for it, and a lot of lifestyle changes in which I didn't put that in focus. I had stuck to what was important. I'm healthy and safe, and that's what's important. So I'm happy there was some growth, and I'm okay that it's not completed. Number two, the price charting website doesn't have 100% accurate listings of all the Lego video games or all the editions of them. Some of them I actually found through here kind of confusing, or some may be missing, but that's more for the PC and handheld side of things. The one that confused me a lot was Lego Dimensions, because it would list it for all of those level, fun, and team packs, which I didn't really consider a video game, but I showed in the list either way. And I also found it confusing that they separated the game from the starter pack as well. I mean, if you're buying the starter pack, you have the game with you. And for many of those cases, I just listed that I had both. If I already had the CD, I already had the starter pack. Because technically, I have a toy pad that is compatible with every console. I just don't have one that is tailor-made for that console itself. Even if you look on Bricklink at the toy pads for the Dimensions packs, there's the Xbox 360 and Xbox One compatible one, and then there's the one for everything else, the PS3, PS4, and Wii U. They all go together, so I don't need to buy 5 of them, but if I need to just justify that a little bit, I can go to Big Lots. I know they still have them available there for some reason 5 years later. I don't know why, but I think that's kind of fun. So, number 3, some games are just hard to find. There were some I just would not have been able to pick up, no matter how much I was looking for them. Every once in a while, I try to look for things like the Lego Harry Potter collector's editions, but those are not an easy thing. There are so many editions of them. They don't have a lot of appearance in my neck of the woods or even online, so it would have taken me a while to find that either way. So that is what it is. And even some of the other editions of games, like the CD ones or like the double packs or the DVD packs, I think Price Running mentioned some of them, but they call them like Silver Shield or something like that. It's kind of all over the place for those. It's kind of hard to track how many there are, and some of them just aren't classified when they're put onto the market. They'll often be listed as just that game and not the special edition of it or whatever. Number 4, there are some of these that were on the list that were digital instead of being physical copies. As I mentioned in the Nintendo Switch area, I only had one of them that was a physical cartridge, and then like 2 others that were from a digital market. So that did happen a couple times throughout the year where the digital copies were cheaper than the physical ones. And there were even some like Lego Ninjago Movie that were like free for about a month or something, that were just like, oh, okay, I'll just download it to every console, no matter if I have the CD or not. So I found that interesting on its own. And the whole digital versus physical debate is something for another day. But in short, I will get the physical editions later. I'm okay having the digital ones now if I want to play them. And number 5 in here, I was trying to limit things to just the NTSC market. I could easily have jumped over to the European editions of the games, the Japanese editions of the games. That would have been a whole can of worms on its own. Currently, the only Japanese version of any of the LEGO video games that I have is Fun to Build. That kind of makes sense because it's the only way that game was released. It was a Japan exclusive. And I think maybe a few other ones I have with like a PEGI 7 rating on them, so therefore it was a UK exclusive, or at least a UK release of it, but that's in the PC era of it. I'm not going to worry about that for this video. So I'm happy with making some progress in here. I'm glad to share some of that progress with you right now. And let me know if you have any other questions in the comments down below. If you have questions about certain games for LEGO Trivia, I'd be happy to talk about them, whether they're from the home consoles or PC. I do have some fun ideas for that coming up. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe and like for more LEGO content. And I'll see you next time with more LEGO videos.